Yeah, what a weekend. So, as some of you might know, and some of you probably don't know, I blew up Friday. And when I mean I blew up, I frickin' set some shit on fire. And I want to show you guys this. So, I spent a little bit of yesterday and a good portion of today getting myself fixed. Now, the upside to this is it's actually better than what it was before. So, I come out, the skip's rolling pretty good, and it's coming out of the Great Lakes. And I got 44 Magnum coming in my radio pretty good, and so I fire down and I start talking to him and a couple other guys out there, and then all of a sudden Mean Pill comes along. And Mean Pill's been 10-8 and straight for, well, longer than most of us have been alive, or even thinking that we were alive, or even thinking we knew what radio was. And so he come along and he had a great little chat with him, and then here come along Master P. So I took and I turned my beam to go down to Master P, and all of a sudden my reflect needle, and I sit there and I key about, we're going to say 10 watts, okay? Watts. 1 0, comma, and then we're going to add 3 zeros to the end of that, okay? So it's normally what I do. But skip was so good that day, I wanted to be really dominant, so I come out there at about 20 watts and was modulating forward to about 35, we'll say. I'm talking all hypothetical for legal reasons, right? Now, my reflex slug is this guy. Come here. Take it out of the holder here. So that is a 100-watt slug. And when the guys at Coax Dynamics made it for me, I had them print my name on it. Okay, that's my reflex slug. It just decided that it was time to tell me that I had a problem. And I went to key up to go back to Master P, and my reflect needle went from sitting at about 1 watt, maybe 2, and went think in the corner. Oh, I got a problem. So I immediately come up out of the bigger thing and went down to the driver, and it still went dink to the problem corner, and I went, whoa, I got a problem. I even said that. And I had people sending me gates. Dude, there's something wrong. Your audio's messed up. There's something wrong. BBI, stop keying. I mean, like, and I already figured out I'm done, right? Something is horrifically wrong. So, the last time it decided to do this, it did it here. This is what's left of, and I hang this on the wall. A shame you guys see this in every video. This was my connection at my vacuum variable. And that was the Heiko connector that was holding on to it. And so this went directly in and hooked up to the back of my vacuum variable on my beam. And I went, oh, I've seen this before. I know that where the problem is. This got so hot that it deformed all this nylon and disintegrated this eyelet. That's nothing. That's nothing. So I go up there and I pull the vacuum variable all apart, and I can't find anything that's burnt or arced or shows any burning. And I'm like, no, this is a bad, hard break, right? So I put the vacuum variable all back together. Now I just totally messed up all my vacuum variable settings, which took all day today to refine and actually turned out better. But when I first built my station, my beam is so big that I took a piece of coax and I come down the boom, and I had it's like a whip. They call it a whip. So from my base plate on my beam back to my driven element is one piece of coax, and then from there on down, I mean, I didn't want to have that extra 250 feet of RG 218 or 217 there hanging. It's just, it was too much weight. The beam already weighs like 200 and something pounds, right? So I had to live with the fact that I was going to have a connection in there, and I knew someday it might go bad. Well, by the time I got to that point today, or yesterday, to where I was ready to go check that joint, sun was setting, getting dark, starting to rain a little bit of snow. Now please note, to get to my vacuum variable, I lift my beam up, point it in another direction, bring it down past the tree, and then I have a custom-made 12-foot ladder to where I had to take 36.5 inches off of one end of it. And I put that up on the roof, and then I can walk right up to my vacuum variable. Thank God I have this beautiful ladder. This $300 and some freaking fiberglass ladder. Otherwise, I'd stand on my tippy toes and still be 10 feet away from the damn thing. So, once I figured out it was the barrel connector, I'm like, there's got to be something wrong at that joint. So I flip the tower around, drop it back down, take my 12-foot ladder, lean it up against my beam, or up against my tower, climb up there, and start cutting it apart. Now, I happened to be on the phone with my buddy Steve Baracus, Mr. Kingpin, and we were talking about another mud duct that's out there. And we were talking about, man, why is he so, there's something wrong. I mean, this guy is a victim of he suffers from incredibly high blood pressure, and he had a stroke, and he's just become unbelievably, we're just sitting there talking about him for a minute. Like, we feel bad for the guy. We won't like praying for him because it's just sad. Really like the guy, but mental status has changed and he doesn't recognize it, and there's nothing that we can do. Anywho, so we were talking about it, and I start pulling this thing apart, and I'm like, oh God, I can smell it. I can smell it. So from the outside, that's my barrel connector. That's the barrel connector. That's the actual fitting. So for you guys that don't know, that's 1/2 inch heliax. That's 217. Little stuff. To me, this is like oversized RG8 XU. This is good stuff. This will hold up to a 3000 easily. You got to remember, when I put all this up, I decided that I was going to stick in the realm of a 15. I had no idea of planning on going to a 40, right? So this is what I run, is I run RG218. That's RG218. Look at the size difference, okay? The reason I run that, yeah, it's solid center conductor, but it's still flexible. So I've got it hanging off all my coax hangers and everything, because I can't have nothing laying down in the yard. I got kids, I got a dog, I got all that kind of crap. So its equivalent in heliax would be 7/8. These two are really, really close. I mean, they're fairly close in what they can handle in power capabilities, okay? This is some unbelievable stuff. If you're running a 15, this is really about as big as you need to go, honestly. Because you're never going to take the carrier over about maybe 20,000. And you're not going to be able to go much farther past 20,000 forward. I mean, you can if you juice it and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, in realistic operation, not, oh, I got a buddy of mine that jerks off a hamster one time behind a closet. And he says he's got a friend that he's got a 15 and keys it at 30 and swings to 50. No. The tube, it'll do it for a short time, but the tube's not going to last there. So for realistic operation, this is really all you need, right? Well, I've long since outstripped this, okay? And there's a lot of stuff I want to change. Come here in the spring, I've got myself sitting in the back of my house already, a brand new, and I mean brand new, US Tower 75 HDX HD. The heavy duty, they don't even make them anymore. Way overbuilt, brand new, 75, fully motorized, all the switches on it. You know, wet dream, freaking $25,000 tower. It's just sitting back there, waiting for me to put it in. For me to come put it in, I've got to hire a crane to come reach over the top, pick up the freaking antenna, take it off, pick the tower up, pick it up, lay it down, put the base in for the new tower, have the crane come back, pick the tower up, set it down, get it all wired in and everything, have the crane come back a third time, pick up the new beam, because I'm going to build a new beam, drop it down on top of the tower, and then I'm going to hang bigger coax. So I've just been kind of slow rolling it, loafing it, not really pushing it, because I know that this isn't really enough to carry what I'm doing. I know this. So this is 1 5/8. That's coax. What I am going to is 1 1/4, because this stuff is bendable. It is flexible-ish compared to this. This is, and then 3 inch is another whole freaking nightmare. And there's no point to go to 3 inch. 3 inch is bragging rights, in my opinion. I mean, that will hold 3 or 4 20s if everything else is right. Like if you got your swirls right, you know, your reflect right and everything, it's right. This is the department that I'm heading to, right here. Looks like a horse majama, right? Well, because I'm not there yet, as in like I haven't had the time and it's the wrong time of year to do it. We're still running this. So when you strip back the end on 218, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is without the fitting on there. This is everything off. This is what it strips back and looks like for you to go and use it. That's taken from a working end. First, I unscrewed this end of the barrel connector. And let's look at this for a hot minute. That looks really pretty, doesn't it? So the way I had this set up is I had a layer of electrical tape coming up this coax and then up to the fitting. So there was another fitting that was on here covering up this bullet, this barrel. It's electrical tape covering this whole joint, which is about this long. Then on top of that, I had a very thin layer of butyl tape, water insulation tape, and then another layer of electrical tape. And then on top of that, I had marine grade heat shrink with epoxy on it, because I didn't want this joint, as the tower was rotating, I don't want the joint to flex or move. That's going to cause all kinds of problems. So tape, butyl tape, that's to help keep water out. And then heat activated epoxy based marine grade heat shrink over the outside, which gets real stiff. Okay. Well, as soon as I got the heat shrink off, I could smell it. I'm on the phone with my buddy, Mr. Baracus, and I said, man, dude, I can smell it. I found it. It's right here. This is the problem. This is the problem. And so I go through the painstaking process of cutting through the exterior layer of electrical tape, through the exterior layer of butyl, through the next layer of electrical tape, and then you peel it off. You turn it inside out and you peel it off. And when I peeled it off, I could really smell it. You should technically be able to see through this. The inside of this looks like a freaking blowtorch on the inside. Okay, gosh, stinks. Inside of this fitting is all burned up too. It's all discolored. The coax nub that should look like this looks like this. This motivates me greatly to get myself going here on getting this fixed. It was way greasier than this. This is after I threw it in my bag. It's been rolling around in my pocket. My hands have touched it. It was welded. And it was arcing. It was just running all over on the inside of this thing. Burning and arcing and flashing over. And that's from about 20 seconds worth of it going stink to the corner. So there was fire inside of here. I mean, literally lightning in a bottle. My neighbor Brian, he come out as we were tuning today. He goes, man, I just want to let you know that, because I had to beam all the way down and we're tuning it. And he goes, man, you're turning stuff on and off in my house, right? And I said, I know, bro. He goes, I know, you're getting it fixed. I can see you up here working on it. He goes, normally you don't bother me at all. I said, well, you know. And he goes, you know, the last time you broke, he goes, you had flames shooting out of that white can that's up there on the driven on that antenna. And I said, yeah, I know. He goes, but this time, he goes, it was 2 days ago, wasn't it? I said, yeah. He goes, man, you come across my surround sound system like you were in a room with me. So, needless to say, I let the fire out. But the moral of the story is, got it all put back together, and now I can put out 10 watts and have 0 coming back where I used to have 1. And when I turn it up to about 35 watts, I'd have about 10 watts of reflect. Now I've got about 2. So the wife and I I love tuning with my wife because she doesn't go, it went up by 2 and then down by 5. She's up or down, and then how we knew we actually hit it, she goes, the meter I'm supposed to be looking at says 0. I'm like, what, 0? She goes, yep, 0. Hold on. So I come down and look at it. Sure enough, keyed up 0. So we're done. We're done. But let the record stand that I am running too small a coax for the horsepower that I've got. I know it. I've already spent the money. I got the tower. I got the coax. I got all the fittings that I'd have flown in from Germany. Because nobody uses this coax in the United States anymore. They just don't. It's that, or it's 3-inch. And these fittings are impossible to find. But I found a company in Germany. And anyhow, I know it. And we're just going to loaf it. But come spring, you boys and girls hold on, because we're going to go to this, and then I'm going to actually be able to turn everything up. So on that note, gentlemen, you guys have a great weekend. I just thought I'd share this with you. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you get a hot minute, come on over here to Patreon. Come help support us. And believe me when I tell you, I got some really, really cool stuff coming. Really cool stuff coming. It's sitting behind the camera over here. About a quarter way through where I need to be. So tomorrow, back at it. Tomorrow I get to go wire filament, time off, and all the 12-volt stuff in this thing I'm building behind me. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you had a great weekend. We'll see you. Click, click, click.